welcome to Crimes Through Time, a weekly snapshot of crime history. In this episode, we will be travelling across the pond to New York City. In 1933, Michael Malloy was down on his luck when he was targeted by a group of opportunistic men who decided to murder him for money. But Michael just wouldn't die. He survived over 10 attempts on his life, earning him the nicknames Iron Mike Malloy and Durable Mike. Michael Malloy was born in 1873 in County Donegal, who, like so many in this time period, emigrated from Ireland to America with dreams of a new life. He was a former firefighter, but as the Great Depression took hold, the 1930s found Michael living in New York, unemployed, homeless, and addicted to alcohol. He was a regular in the underground speakeasy scene. In January 1933, 5 men who were acquainted with Michael, Tony Marino, Joseph Red Murphy, Francis Pasqua, Hershey Harry Green, and Daniel Kaisenberg, were after easy money. Tony saw a potential payday in Michael. The year before, Tony had befriended a lady called Marbell Carson. Like Michael, she was homeless and addicted. He convinced her to take out a $2,000 life insurance policy, naming him as the sole beneficiary. Tony then waited for a freezing New York night. He plied her with alcohol, and when she passed out, he force-fed her more until she was unconscious. He stripped her naked, soaked her mattress and bedding with ice water, and laid her beneath an open window. The cause of death was recorded as bronchial pneumonia. Tony collected the money unchallenged. He proposed a similar fate for Michael. Michael seemed like an easy mark. The alcohol was damaging his body. He looked far older than his years, and life, homeless on the city streets, was having a toll on him. 3 life insurance policies were drawn up, most likely with the help of a corrupt broker, to gain $3,500 if Mike died by accident. Tony owned a speakeasy and gave Mike unlimited credit, for which he was very grateful. So when he was asked to sign a petition supporting Tony's run for political office, he happily obliged his new friends. The petition was actually a Metropolitan Life and 2 Prudential insurance policies. The gang assumed the hard part was done, that Michael would take full advantage of his access to alcohol and drink himself to death. Michael certainly enjoyed his time at the bar, but he simply drank until he passed out, slept it off, and then returned to do it all again. The gang substituted his drinks for antifreeze, to no harmful effect. They moved to turpentine, horse liniment, and then rat poison. Still, Michael returned to the bar each day. Francis suggested the use of raw oysters. He had previously seen a man die from spoiled oysters and whiskey. They soaked them in wood alcohol and served them to Michael. They then served him a spoiled sardine, poison, and carpet tack sandwich. Still, Michael lived. The next plan was to freeze him to death, and on the night when the temperature was -26°C, they waited for Michael to pass out from his now all-day drinking sessions, and then took him to a park, placing him in the snow and covering his bare chest with ice water. Like clockwork, Michael returned to the bar, ready for another drink the very next day. The police had spotted Michael and taken him to a shelter. The group began to get desperate as the policy end date began to approach. They decided to get proactive in their murder attempts. Harry Green was a New York taxi driver. The gang bribed him with $150 to hit Michael with his car. Again, waiting until he was excessively drunk, the gang held Michael up while Harry revved his engine. At the last moment, they jumped out of the way, but even in this inebriated state, it took 3 attempts to hit Michael. The taxi made impact at approximately 50 miles per hour. Michael was found alive and ended up spending 3 weeks in hospital, recovering from several broken bones. Such was the power of his addiction. Upon his discharge from hospital, he headed straight back to the speakeasy. On the 22nd of February, the gang decided that Michael had to die, and that making it look like an accident was no longer going to work. Again, they allowed Michael to drink himself into a stupor before taking him to Red Murphy's room. They placed the hose from a coal gas jet into his mouth. He died within the hour. They bribed a doctor, Dr. Manzella, to obtain a death certificate stating lumbar pneumonia and to allow for a swift burial. The insurance companies paid out. All should have been well with the gang, but they began to fight over the money and how it was going to be split. And at the same time, the legend of Durable Mike and Iron Mike Malloy were the topic of conversation in the speakeasies all over the city. So much it got to the attention of the police, who began to question the circumstances surrounding the night he died. Michael's body was exhumed and forensically examined. It became clear that Michael was murdered and money was the motive. All 5 gang members stood trial and were convicted of murder. Dr. Manzilla was convicted of accessory after the fact. Harry Green went to prison for the rest of his life. Francis Pasqua, Tony Marino, Daniel Kaisenberg were executed in Sing Sing Prison, New York by electric chair on the 7th of June 1934. Red Murphy followed on the 5th of July 1934. Michael's case was investigated by Dr. Charles Norris, New York's first appointed chief medical examiner, and who would be the pioneer in the field of forensic toxicology in America. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think of this case in the comments below, and I look forward to welcoming you in the next one.